each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
Just 1 second, caller. Caller, are you there? Oh, George. Hey, George.
Yes, hi, Andrew.
Hey, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, just super.
Super. How did your fast go?
It was totally different than what I could remember of any of the previous ones. I really had some had some struggles.
Yeah, you had a lot of putrefied stuff in your gut that needed to get out.
And but once I got past those first three or 4 days, it was pretty smooth sailing after that. And I even had some work and was able to overcome the hunger desires even after work.
Good.
So, yeah, and felt just really good. So.
Did you lose a lot of weight?
Yes, I did, but I've already gained it all back.
How much did you lose?
It's hard to tell because my scale is so inaccurate. It's one of those old things with the spring and all that. So, I mean, I can actually jump on it and get any weight I want. So, you know what I mean? If I want to weigh 10 pounds less or 20 pounds more, I can just give it a good nudge, jump up and down or something on it, and I get it. So, I think I probably lost at the height of it, maybe up to maybe 10 pounds or something. I'm not sure. Okay. But, well, you could I definitely lost some weight.
You can fluctuate that much in water weight in 3 or 4 days.
Yes, I that. Mm-hmm.
So that indication you flushed yourself out pretty good then, you'd say.
I feel really good. And in fact, I believe that it might have helped out my chemical sensitivity thing and stuff. I still have it, but I've noticed that there's been a couple times when I was around individuals around here, whether doing a little task for them or whatever, and I breathed a little bit of perfume or something, and I didn't go through that really long, drawn-out day and a half of nose being clogged up and stuff. It was like I got some sniffles and it was over.
Well, in your case, when you took in all that broth and you then switched to the pineapple and then you added the kale to your food, that's what you did?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I've been eating the kale. In fact, I've still got some of it. I've been adding it to every meal every day.
Very good. The kale is doubling your effectiveness of getting toxins out of your intestinal stream. So your body and fat in your body and your actual muscles are still retaining some of the toxins. So you're going to be literally detoxing over the next few months. Honestly, for you, if you stick to the diet where you have as much leafy greens as you can possibly get, and then kind of flush your system, you can go back to doing the broth, like, cut the broth to 1 meal a day, so you're adding a lot more fluids to your system in the broth format, and you'll help get the rest of the stuff out that's in your lower parts of your intestines.
I'm gonna have to make up a new broth.
Yeah, we'll get more creative with it too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you just head up to the grocery store and wherever the meat counter is, and ask them for some. You could have oxtails really easy. You can make a crap load of broth out of that. That's probably the best thing. Or a calf foot, or a shin bone, or an ankle bone. And you can go 15 cups of water to an ankle bone or a shin bone.
I might try that out the next time I do it. But this last one was such a struggle. And like I said, I don't remember any of the other ones being like that. It seemed like, from my best recollection, like I was saying, like one day, and then as long as I made it that first day, it was a piece of cake after that. No,
you had lots of stuff to let go. Remember how I said a lot of this putrefied stuff has a psychic impression left over on it? When you were going through that hard time, were like things coming up in your mind as you were letting go of it, and kind of describe that.
Well, I went through that lightheadedness stage, and where I wasn't feeling really well that second day, and but I think I pinned it down to when I had called in the Sean David Morton show. I tried to move my mic one time, and it let out a lot of that toxic gases that the chemicals and that the microphone is made of were gassing off, and it let it out, and I remember breathing a deep breath of that. I think that's what got me lightheaded, actually.
That's possible. For people that don't know George, he has to put plastic over all of his stuff when it's coated because he's very sensitive. I have a very close family friend. Her daughter has got the same thing. She was born that way. And they have to put items outside for up to 3 months before they can bring them in for her.
Andrew, I've got my next set of work shoes. They're out on top of my trailer, baking in the sun right now because the toxins that are in the leather and stuff that they're made of are too toxic for me. I can't have it in the house.
Yep, I know.
They're out in the sun right now. They've been out there for about a week, and I go out there and reluctantly try to take a little sniff of them, and it's still hanging in there.
Yep.
So I can't bring them inside the house.
Yeah. So people understand what we're trying to do is to help George figure out how he can fully detox his body, because right now his body, your muscles are holding it in. It's invading every part of you, and changing your diet's going to be huge on getting it out. The kale is the wonder food when it comes to cleaning out your intestines, as well as acting as a additional sponge for the negative toxins.
That's what the guy at the grocery store said too.
Yeah.
So that's the new wonder stuff.
Yeah, kale and then dandelion that you can get at the grocery store too. You can actually mix the two. I mean, both of them are mega big on the vitamin A, but you're actually looking for the transporting. And the next thing is make sure you get the blue-green algae and seaweed dietary supplement.
I haven't added that to the diet yet, but
so you're going to take both of those in the morning, whatever you do with your morning meal. If you decide to go back on the broth diet, actually, I want to ask you, when you switched from broth to pineapple, kind of describe how that switched you.
It was really wonderful. I had more energy and stuff. Andrew, I think I kind of messed up on my broth. It wasn't, I probably did the bare minimums on it as far as the simmering and stuff, because I started late that night, and I'm kind of an early bird. Okay. So I went 4 hours, and that was it on the simmering.
That's fine. You as long as you had fat on the surface of the broth.
So I really question how what kind of quality my broth was, but I can tell you that when I switched over to the pineapple juice, I almost felt like I was cheating because the pineapple juice was so good.
Well, it had sugar in it.
Yeah, and my body was just loving it.
So people kind of understand. George did a concept. He had done a 7-day pineapple juice fast many years ago and said that it was great. Well, he started the broth fast, flooded his system with fluids, and expelled a lot at the end of the second day or third day.
I didn't really, you said that I was plugged up, and you know what? I was plugged up. Well, I didn't expel a whole lot of stuff. I mean, not mass quantities, but the stuff that did come out was exactly like you described it. Really more. Yeah, exactly. And but I remember you saying that you're plugged up, and because I wasn't expelling mass quantities of stuff, and I had eaten really well in preparation for doing this fast. Okay. Again, probably a little bit of a cheating inside of me or something, thinking, you know what, I'll make it through this no problem if I eat a little bit extra just beforehand, and I did that. So. I wasn't trying to cheat or anything, but I'm looking back at it and I'm going, you know what? I don't know. Maybe it's just that little little cheating attitude I had when I went through grade school and stuff. I couldn't stand being in school, so I cheated wherever possible on book reports and everything. I never read the books or anything.
So when you switched to the pineapple, did your bowel movement change?
Well, no, not really. No, it was just I had a regular movement, but it was just a small little minute of stuff.
Yeah, you're still pretty clogged up. You've got like 6 layers of tar paper on you.
But Andrew, where it did change was I started eating on Tuesday, right?
Right.
I ate. I overate. I ate so much I got sick. I actually found myself laying on my bed, moaning, groaning, you name it. I mean, I was seriously sick. I was hurting so bad because my stomach was just so full. I really didn't do myself any favors.
Well, actually, you did. That's called you ate the kale. I take it.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was right there in the mix.
That's called the snowplow.
Well, I had the biggest. Well, to use your terminology, well, I'll just say defecate. I defecated the hugest amount of stuff that must have been in there somewhere, and somehow it got pushed out when I started eating. And I drank. I mean, I ate everything under the sun. I mean, the stuff that you recommended, the kale and stuff, the eggs, the hard-boiled eggs, and then I added to it. I mean, I drank 2 banana drinks, full blender size things of it, apples, you name it. I ate enough for probably a week. It was probably stupid of me, but I was enjoying it so much. I lost track of what I was eating. I was just eating and enjoying it, and then next thing you know, I had overeaten.
So it took you 2 days to process it?
Excuse me?
Did it take you 2 days to process all that?
It seemed like everything just came out. Like I guess I pushed out the stuff that was in there that you said was it gave me some impetus to come out.
Yeah.
And it came out. I mean, it was like it made up for lost time. I must have been stuffed up because that stuff came out, and when it did, it was such a relief.
Yeah.
And the
pineapple juice, believe it or not, probably acidically softened it up a lot, and then believe it or not, you instinctively overate. And I'll call it that. You ate that much because you knew it's time to get out. Well, now that you've cleared out your gut, there is some there's going to be other stuff that's going to be left in there. The pains that you were feeling was when the food was moving through. It was literally like when a snow plow's got its plow down, every now and then it'll take a chip out of the ground. That's kind of what's going on with you. That's some of the pains that you're feeling. So you just got to double up eating your kale, and you can make it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese, a diced up egg, olive oil, lemon juice, and just cut up your kale. And you can throw any other kind of cheese on it if you really want. And that kale itself, you could add berries to it too. Those would be a great way to get berries into your diet so they can absorb more stuff and expel it out.
Yeah, you know what I discovered, something I never knew. There's some cats like kale too, apparently.
Yep, they love it.
I don't even have a cat as a pet, but there's stray cats around here, and I was eating it outside, and I put some down, and I couldn't believe my eyes. The cats, they're normally they like food. I mean meat. But these cats ate that kale, cleaned it up. So
that's right. They love it.
Interesting.
So anything else to report to us?
No, there's not really. I'm just back to. I'm glad to be eating like normally again. I guess whatever's normal, and for me anyway. And feeling really good, and I do feel like I said, my chemical sensitivity thing has improved at least a little bit. Only time will tell. Right. But I thank you for your guidance and all that. you just have an immense amount of knowledge in so many areas, and especially the spiritual stuff and all that. And that's where my interest is.
Okay.
And
Do you have any questions for me? Anything to add? You there, George?
putting on me,
I think you just broke up there. Say that again.
could you do a quick reading on me?
Oh, sure. Just a
Thank
second
you.
here. What I need you to do is I want you to do your basic times table for me. 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 5, 5 times 6, stuff
Okay.
like that. And
Okay.
do that for about 35 seconds, and I'm going to tune in your energies.
Okay, 0 times 0 is 0, 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16, 8 times 8 is 64, 8 times 9 is 72, 9 times 9 is 81, 3 times 4 is 12, 16 times 2 is 32, 128 plus 128 is 256.
All right, I got you.
250.
I got you. I'm
Okay.
tuning into your energies. Okay, from the east is the shaman's life, death, and rebirth. From the west is the vision quest. From the south is the sweat lodge. And from the north is the hour of power. This for you is the representation of what you've let go and now what you're going to let in. That is the two energies, the east and west energies of you. If you were to face north, you would know that your east and your west, that which will flow through you in the next several moon cycles, is about what you let in and what you let out. You have had a letting go experience. Now it's time for George Preston to look to the east and ask himself in a spiritual way, what do I want in my life? Do I want companionship? Do I want spirituality? Do I want to expand my own ability to understand that which is my own life cycle? It's time for you to ask those questions and to know that you've already given away to the universe a significant portion of your what's called a debt. But it wasn't really a debt as much as it was part of your inter-co-creating reaction to being in this world. The south is your sweat lodge, your place of purification. It's where you go back to the inner child within, let go of the adult training, the adult programming, and be the kid, perfectly imbalanced with his own energy. That's how you're going to conquer your chemical sensitivity. That's how you're going to understand why it is even there in your DNA right now. It is related to the chemical processing of our food, chemical processing of our clothing. It is not a natural way, and your spirit and your body is telling you to find a way to return to a natural way. So it'll be maybe time for you to get a piece of leather and learn how to carve it and use it and make your own shoes. Think that's possible for George to learn a skill, a craft of leather, and to make his own shoes so he does not have to leave them out for several months?
I don't know if I am patient enough to try to make myself
You're a craftsman. You've figured things out before.
Well,
go online and
well,
find a book on cobbler. No, I'm serious.
I know you're serious, and I'm. They're so easy to buy. I shop for all my shoes in these thrift stores, and I find them for like $3 or $4, $5, and it's so easy to find them for that price. That because I go through. I'm hard on stuff, on shoes and clothes and stuff. I wear them out like fast. And so yeah, that anything's possible, but well, I don't know. Maybe with your with you giving me some incentive, some nudging me, I might try it, but okay. I don't know. I don't know. They're, like I said, I find them so easily at these thrift shops for a couple dollars. And
well, something you got to understand: the feet are the greatest expulsing point of scent that the human body has. So you're buying used shoes that has the scent of the people that are in them, and it's the chemical sensitivity scent. Well, every drug every person ever has goes out with your feet. Here's a classic example for people out there that may have somebody that's around them that's abusing prescription painkillers. If their feet stink wretched, it's probably because they're on some type of prescription painkillers or abusing them. And shoes are a great way of understanding the chemical imbalance in a person's body.
So when I'm wearing all these used shoes, which I've been doing for quite a while now,
Yep.
I mean,
You don't know whose shoes were in there before. You don't know what kind of emotional person that was. You don't know what chemicals they had in their body.
and so I'm sharing all those emotions and all
Yep.
that stuff that, oh my goodness, Andrew, I think the majority of these shoes that I'm getting from these shops are people that died, and their relatives, donate them to these shops.
Mm-hmm.
That's my understanding of a lot of the way they get a lot of this stuff.
Well,
And
the reason I brought up shoes because it's very clear that you're meant to be a barefoot person this lifetime, and you're way, way far from understanding that right now.
I was going barefoot. You know, it's amazing you touched on that, because I was going barefooted for the longest time until I finally got a piece of glass in my foot that I couldn't get at. I just couldn't get at, and I finally had to go into a local clinic here and have the doctor dig it out.
Okay.
And yeah, and that stopped that right there. So, but barefooted, I used to do that so much. I mean, I could go out on hot blacktop and all kinds of stuff because I did it so much, but not anymore. That piece of glass taught me a lesson.
Well,
wear shoes, young man.
That or have something that's handmade that covers your feet.
Okay, well, you come up with some great ideas and stuff.
You could make leather-bound slippers for yourself too. They're not hard. There's plenty of pattern kits out there that you could find on Amazon for the size of your foot.
Well, after what you said about carrying these emotions and the baggage of whoever might have been in those shoes before, I'm going to have to think seriously about that. I've got somebody else's shoes on right now.
Just the sheer fact that the chemical sensitivity that you are having now is the byproduct of a lifetime of toxicity. And it's unbeknownst to you till you started waking up how toxic your environment was. So it's not like you did this to yourself. Your environment was that way. Now that you're aware, your feet are meant to be the expellers of energy. So when you're wearing the shoes of other people, you still have their energy. There are ways to clear out their energy by using sage and smudging and putting crystals in there and preparing them. That's a different level of investment. But in your situation, you need the freedom to expel. I'm really going to recommend that you start 2 foot baths a day. You can go and find mint, or you can use ginger in the foot bath. The mint will open up your pores and allow you to excrete the surface toxins that your skin's retaining, and the ginger will allow you to, similar thing, but allow you to absorb the ginger essence into the suppleness of your skin, and it'll help your kidneys immensely, as well as getting more toxins out of your body. And this is for anyone that's detoxing. A foot bath is just a pan that's big enough to cover water up to over your ankles, and you can just just grab some mint, like you're making a mint julep. You crush it up a little bit and you throw it in there. If you have pure essence oil, maybe 2 drops of mint, 1 drop of mint. Tupelo honey is another good one. This will help you understand that when you're in a working environment, and a lot of times the metal toxins will go to your feet, they'll pool there, and foot baths are a great way of getting a lot of extra energy out, as well as the toxins there that are on the surface.
Andrew, this is such a coincidence that you're touching on this, on the foot and the feet and stuff like that. Just recently, I had an examination, and I have it done periodically and stuff. When I was in the military, I had an ankle injury. And so anyway, I had a recent examination on it a couple months ago, just to see where it was at and what was going on with it and stuff. And somehow, when the doctor sent me the report, which I received just a few days ago, it had a full examination, not only of the ankle, which was my concern, but but left and right foot, and the left and right foot in the report was really messed up, and I couldn't believe what I was reading, so I called the VA, and I asked them, what, could you clarify what this foot thing is and why there's a right foot examination in there when there was no views or MRI or anything done on it, and they says, oh, that's somebody else, some other veteran's feet got mixed up in your report. So anyway, I have somebody else's feet now in my report, in my files, as if it's my feet. My feet are perfectly fine, in my opinion. So, but the feet of this veteran, I feel sorry for that guy. Yeah, they're messed up. So anyway,
that sucks. Well,
I'm trying to get that straightened out. Yeah.
Yeah. For your situation, there's so much toxins in your body.
Yeah.
That the most effective ways for you is going to foot bathing, as well as extra showering, or hot tub, or going into a lake or a pool or something, if you can manage it. Or you're going to have to start tanning yourself naturally in the sun and foot bathing at the same time. So you're going to have sun on you and feet in the water with a couple crystals in the water, and that will actually help you energetically retune your body to the expulsing of the toxins. And the water will be the transmission method.
Now, are you sure you're not juxtaposing somebody else, this other veteran's feet?
This is you. You have chemical sensitivity.
This is actually me now.
Yeah, you have chemical.
Okay.
I was never looking at this other person. You have a chemical sensitivity. Your body is saturated with toxins, and you are trying to release toxins without overloading your kidneys. Okay. So the surface of your feet hold the most amount of toxins. So you can, because you're constantly going in through an expulsion mode through your feet. So when you go to soak them, that top 3/4 of an inch layer is stripped of those toxins. And then from the center of the feet, the toxins go out more and out more and out more, because there's so much blood flowing through the foot. So the more that you are able to foot bath, the more you are literally taking away, so the kidneys don't have to process and expulse.
Okay, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Well,
I'll get off the air and let somebody else chime in or something.
All righty.
I thank you very much for your time. Love your show, and cheers.
Yep. Cheers to you too.
All right, man. Bye.
All righty.
So, Michelle, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Thank you for the gift of clarity.
You're welcome. What was your other question? I'm sorry, it's just eluded me.
Actually, it's just so funny with the synchronicity thing. Another thing in my life is feathers, and I'm outside, and I found 2 feathers since the break. So, you're right. It just feels good, and it's just like saying, "Hey, you're aware."
It's very much like that. 2 feathers. Lucky you. I'm going to let Andrew tell you about that one.
Oh, okay.
1 second. So.
Okay. Oh, and Catherine, I don't know. I get hives often, and it's a new thing. They're not horrible, but it's definitely all over the body. And it's when I'm doing, I don't want to call it psychic, but when I'm definitely feeling aware. Anything I should be aware of with that?
Are you outside when this happens? Or inside? Or it doesn't matter?
I've tried to pin it down, and I know now I don't think it's medical because I watched what I've ate, what I've used, on my skin with lotions and stuff, and I'm just like, okay, there's something else going on here.
Yeah, hives are a scenario going on where there's something psychically going on in your environment, and it's affecting you at your ability to fight off some form of pathogenic process. So are these hives on the surface of the skin, or are they just slightly under the skin?
Just, like no bumps, just red. I feel itchy. I get hot.
Yeah, so you're having something going on with your intestinal tract, something going on where 80% of your immune system is in your intestinal tract. It could be heavy metals, or it could be a scenario where you're dealing with a whole bunch of psychic energy and your body just doesn't know what to do with it, and it's creating the hives to warn you that something's in your environment.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it. And so what should I do? What do you suggest in that moment?
I think that this is more about you paying attention to intestinal health, maybe doing some type of colon cleanse to see what comes out. You could have a scenario where Candida has flared up intensely. It might have even just been from, one piece of bread that you ate that was not chemically right, or it converted the sugars wrong, or anything that converted the sugars for the Candida. So I think it's important that you just observe your stool. If anything's floating and has bubbles around it, it is Candida. Another test for Candida is as soon as you wake up in the morning, right away, have a little cup of water next to your bed, and the first amount of spit that comes out of your mouth, put it into that cup. If it has long strands like a mucousy stuff, and it's all connected together, that means you have advanced Candida. And if anyone else out there can do that as a test for themselves. And if you see the strings in the water, it means you need to go and have a major Candida cleanse and Candida yeast control. That could also be what is causing your hives. The Candida has made it into the blood.
Definitely look into that.
Yeah.
So
there's a product that I can recommend. It's called Colorex with a K, K-O-L-O-R-E-X. And anyone else that's out there, this product has been on the market for a while, and it is so effective at killing Candida. I expect it to probably be taken off the market soon, or rebranded as something new.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm on it.
But, with Michelle, one of the things that she could do for the short term is probably take bee pollen for the hives while she investigates the Candida issue.
Bee pollen and golden seal, yes.
Oh, yes, and golden seal. That's an excellent suggestion. Yes.
Yep.
Are you there?
Yep. Hello. It's Alan.
Hey, Alan, how you doing today? Yesterday we only had a couple minutes left with you.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good and chilling, really.
Chilling. Do you have any questions you wanted to do first, or do you want me to go right into a reading?
I do have questions. I don't know, maybe do a reading first. I think maybe we can kind of steer the conversation to the questions, and maybe we'll answer them. So.
Okay. Well, what I'd like you to do is tell me about your first 10 minutes of the day. Be as specific as possible when you first woke up. The more specific you are, the faster I can tune into you, and do that out loud for about 40 seconds.
All right. I woke up. Cat vomited on the floor, so I cleaned that up. Went to the bathroom. Came back. I sleep with an amethyst and a quartz crystal under my pillow, so I took that out. Went upstairs, put some coffee on. My cat was being really lovable, so I was petting him, and while the coffee was making, I went outside to check my spearmint plant. It's growing. Came back in. One cup of coffee was done, so I poured that and came downstairs. And
all right, I've tuned into you. Were you woke up right away? You vomited, or did you lay in bed before you vomited?
Oh no, my cat vomited.
Oh, your cat vomited.
Yeah,
I was gonna say. Were you drinking last night?
So yeah, so I had to clean that up. So that was fun.
Well, it's wonderful to wake up to cat vomit, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, I've tuned into your energy. And the first energy that's coming to you is victory energy. And this is about counting your sacred victories and understanding that you're on a path of change, and this path of change is fueled by fire medicine. And this fire medicine is the passion and spontaneity to go into the world and claim your victory. And this is something that's been going on in your life for quite some time. Quite literally, there's a paved road ahead of you, and you've been taking the unpaved road for a very long time on your own personal path. And after a while, this unpaved road you've been walking on has worn away your shoes until finally you're stepping on prickers with your feet. And this is the previous path that you've been leading, and you're on this new path, but understanding that for this path to be successful, there must be a new respect for your internal sacred space. And the internal sacred space is about the representation of who you allow inside your personal inner world when you are unplugged from the outer world. And it's vitally important that we learn to unplug from the outer world and allow ourselves to go through the processing of what's been going through our heads, because that's when we determine where thoughts from other people can hang around, concepts from other people. There are people that criticize others, and at times their criticism has a bit of psychic projection behind them, and that is stuff that gets inside your sacred space. And I'm sensing that there's some people that are in the parental figure as well as their friend figures that have been not using criticism but been projecting at you, and their words are echoing inside your sacred space, preventing you from looking on the path that you've led before. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, completely, actually.
All right, so you're right in the understanding there that your sacred space has, entities is the wrong word. It's leftover psychic residue. I call it psychic vomit. And there's a reason that I call it psychic vomit, because at times people have no clue that they're psychic, and what they'll do is they'll come up to a person, and with all this extra energy, they'll tell you their point of view, but it comes with all this force of will that hits your outer boundaries. And if you don't enforce your boundaries, it just blows right through it like a freight train and then smacks into you. Purifying process.
Around people, and that actually makes sense.
Okay. And one of the reasons you have a lot of social anxiety is because you're a heavily empathic person that hasn't been taught how to enforce your boundaries. You just absorb the emotions of others, and you can sense the emotions in a room when you walk in.
Yeah.
Okay? So, well, now that you've admitted this and you know this and you're at a different point, that is a victory. That is the example of the counting coup, where you count your set of victories that say, I am now aware of this, and I will not let people come into my personal space and vomit on me. Quite literally. You have to empower yourself. Any energy they sent at you, you need to act like an omnidirectional mirror. So as soon as it comes at you, it is returned to them with no strings attached. And that's the vital understanding about sacred space. You're not expending any of your energy to protect your sacred space. It's already protected by the boundaries.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about boundaries for a second. I know you got people that walk in and out of your life and don't really care about your boundaries. What's your personal view about protecting your boundaries? I mean, what have you done in the past that's really not working for you?
Well, I really, since I get a lot of anxiety, I just try to distract myself from it, try to push away from it, really, and just try to ignore it. And
that's not working.
I have medicine I take for it, too. And yeah, pretty much it doesn't work.
All right, let's talk about getting rid of some of the anxiety and the stress, and this will be the second part of your reading. And the second part of reading is about the rites of passage, the cycles and movements, the truth, and the great mystery. These 4 concepts are extremely important for you to take personal explanation time to. There is what's known as the rites of passage. When you start as a kid, you become a young adult, you become a semi-adult, you become a mid-aged person, and you become a senior citizen, and so on and so forth. You're at this path where you've graduated as the child and the young adult, but you haven't allowed you to graduate yourself on a spiritual level. And one of the reasons you have not finished the path of the child, and the path of the child is moving you into a new layer of truth. And this layer of truth is about the psychic self you've been not allowing the culture around you and the people around you to see. And you've reached a point in your life that you can't go any further without bringing that side out in some way, shape, or form. And this is the great mystery speaking to you. It's the source that helped invest you into this world and say, it is time for you to be fully you, to accept the rites of passage and the movement that's at hand. And the truth of protection is here. The truth of who you are by only your definition. That's where you're at. You have to define your own personal definitions of truth. You are a person with a psychic skill. That is a truth, and that is your protection. And that is the first layer of your boundary. The second layer of your boundary is you are going through a change. You're going through new cyclical movements of understanding. And that second boundary is no other people's thoughts or criticism may enter your sacred space unless you have given them actual verbal permission. The third layer of your boundary is understanding that people will not care about your boundaries. And this is what I call the barbed wire fence boundary. And it's a little prickly bit of energy you put out there so people understand, as if they were walking through a spider web, that this is something that you're violating my sacred space. And this is the third level of which you actually speak to your outer aura. And this is something that you're going to have to regularly practice, which is you actually talk out your boundaries to yourself. And you say to your boundaries, I am no longer allowing anyone in with their energy. There will be no more psychic vomit on me. I define my sacred space as my own energies. I begin the process of removing the energies of others who, through their use of free will, has violated my use of free will. You understand that?
Yeah, yeah.
It's very important that you begin to verbalize all that.
Yeah, I don't really verbalize it that much. I just kind of think of it, try to, focus my intention on it.
Well, it's not about focusing attention. You've been doing that for so long that it's not functioning anymore. You actually need the action of movement here, because action turns knowledge into wisdom. And this is where you're at. You have knowledge, but for this knowledge to become wisdom means you must actually act upon it. So you may be the direct experience of your own results. And the own results you get are your personal truth.
Yeah. That's a lot to soak in.
I realize it's a lot to soak in. Do you have any questions so far? You said you had some questions before?
Oh, yeah. Let me get to my computer here. Okay. I know you do spirit contracts. I haven't really looked up much about them. I was just wondering what my spirit contracts were, if any.
You have plenty of spirit contracts, and it's a matter of where do you want to start?
I have no clue. I mean,
well, let's start with the psychic ability that's manifested during this lifetime. You're actually contracted to be going through this anxiety stage. You're actually contracted to have this skill and the volume level of the skill turned up to maximum level. And the purpose of it is to teach you that you are in the state of understanding what it's like to be an empathic person in a cultural environment that does not allow or strictly hinders or criticizes anyone that has experiences like that. And you are the direct learning experience. And when you begin to reject the culture that says that's criticism, you begin to re-empower yourself. And the contract says when you've fully empowered your sacred space to reject the culture and allow you to be yourself in your inner space, you will have whole new levels of skills exposed to you. And these levels of skills will be in the function of understanding other spirits, the new spirits that are coming in, because you'll be able to understand instinctively how the culture is changing and how to communicate to these new spirits to say, don't come in like this, think of coming in like this. Now, this is hard to understand because you're right at the beginning, and you're meant to be a medium this lifetime, one who speaks to the people in the spirit world. Quite literally.
Wow.
You're contracted to be doing that. But that doesn't mean you are absolutely required. Contracts can be free-willed, taken apart at any point in time. But what's going on with you, this is actually in your DNA lineage from your father's line. There are many mediums throughout the genetic lineage of your father's family. Many of them never accepted it or only did it on a privatary basis because they too were also worried about what the culture or local religions would say. And that's why this has been passed on to you this way, because you're actually helping the whole lineage of people that have been in there by going through this experience. So it's known as a service to others spirit contract. You chose to go through this, and you've gone through it in other lifetimes before.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I mean, I've always felt a pull towards the medical field, healing people, and it just confirms it.
Okay. So I got a question. What is your current goals right now?
Right now, I either want to get a job or go back to school and go into the medical field. And my first immediate goal is to kind of reduce my anxiety a bit, and so I can be around people, and so I can function really. It's really distracting to be really anxious around people.
How long has this been going on for you?
Really all my life, but it passed, I'd say, 8-9 years. It's getting a lot worse. So it's been a bumpy ride. So what lessons have you learned? I know this is a tough question, and doing it live on air is a little different. But the victory counting is very important to you because you've learned lessons throughout going through this anxiety time. And being able to recall the lessons is how you create inner illumination, and it's how you begin to clear the fog of anxiety. Anxiety can come at us in waves, and it can be very powerful, like a sudden hurricane, or it can be just like a regular thunderstorm that's rolling in. The day gets hotter and hotter and hotter until finally the skies turn dark and thunder and lightning, and it's gone. Yeah.
So these are elemental aspects that are coming through you, and these elemental aspects that are coming through you are also teaching you about the elements that are functioning through you.
Wow.
Right. So
yeah.
The big thing is what lessons are you ready to learn? Because there are many directions that I can go here, and it's really about you taking up the quest to seek your own answers. I mean, I can give you compass headings over and over and over again, but it will only be your action that turns that knowledge into personal truth wisdom. Separate of whatever I said. Because whatever I say requires everyone to use their personal discernment on their personal path. Yeah. I'm here for empowerment as service to others. And that empowerment is so that you have all of the options, or be aware that you're not using all of your options, or to understand that culture limits your options. Have you ever thought about going on a retreat and going to do a sweat lodge or going to do a drumming fest or anything like that?
They have isolation chambers, and I've been actually wanting to try one of them. It's like an hour-long session. I think there's one in Cleveland, actually. And,
why would you go and do an isolation chamber?
It's more about, like, it basically just limits all your senses, so it's all about your,
what if you had an anxiety attack inside one?
That would be an experience.
Right. When people tell me about isolation chambers, and I gotta make something very, very noticed, that's for the people that have really experienced it. When you're in these isolation chambers, the water is at a specific gravity where you float in it, and the water is at a temperature that's matching your body, and then you're wearing a wetsuit, so you don't know where your skin ends and your water begins. And then they fill the chamber with white noise, and sometimes that white noise has additional lights that will blink through it that will totally like trip you the heck out. And its whole purpose is so you disconnect from your body. You're not at the state where you're even ready for that. You're at the state where you need to build up your inner energy and go on your personal quest so that you understand that you can do it on your own. And in fact, you do it every night. It's just there's not enough space in your brain to download the information. There's so much anxiety on you. It's like think of a computer hard drive that's full, totally full. It's a 500 gig hard drive that's totally full, and it's never been defragged. So it takes forever to search for a file.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to do, is literally just defrag yourself and get rid of the duplicate files and all the flash cookies and all that other stuff that, that's, metaphorically related to that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's cool because, I was thinking about going to that isolation chamber, so now
it would be like $160 for an hour, and it would be a waste of your time.
Yeah. All right, yeah, that's
30
cool.
minutes into it, as you started to have the experience, you would start to slosh around and look for something, and then you'd suddenly realize that a whole bunch of things are going on in your head, and you have nothing to anchor yourself into, and you'd just start screaming, because that would be the only way for you to hear yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
I've seen it over and over and over again. That's meant for people that have really done their homework on meditation and concepts.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, that's good that I brought that up then.
Okay. So when you try to meditate, what happens for you?
I try just to I sit down, relax, try to release all tension, and then I try to get into a deep relaxed state, and then I close my eyes and I just start focusing on my breathing, and
Do you fall asleep usually?
I do every now and then. I'll do a progressive muscle relaxation, and after I do that, sometimes I do fall asleep. Yeah, it's kind of weird to fall asleep like that sitting up, but yeah. And then I just try to feel stuff while focusing on my breath.
All right. You said you had some amethyst that you sleep under your pillow?
Yes.
All right. This is something I want you to try. That amethyst you have, I want you to wash it off with water. Just stick it in the sink and let water run over it for about 5-10 minutes. All right? And when you're done with it, I want you to fill up a little plastic Ziploc sandwich bag with some regular sea salt. Do you have any kosher sea salt at your home?
I don't think so, but I can get it.
Get some kosher sea salt. And what you're going to do is going to put that amethyst over your heart, and then you're going to put the sea salt on the back of your neck, just like it was an ice pack, and lay down on your couch. So put the sea salt under your neck and put your head onto a pillow laying on the couch, and put the piece of amethyst on your heart, and do whatever you normally do to go through a meditative process. If you fall asleep, that's actually very good, because what it's doing is neutralizing the anxiety energy that's being sent through your neurons out of the medulla in the back of your neck. The medulla is what controls all of your motor functions. And anxiety, when you have anxiety attacks, it actually functions through the motor cortex. All right? Because it's draining energy from the motor cortex to cause the anxiety attack. Okay?
It's cool to hear.
So,
I never knew that, so.
Oh yeah, you'd be surprised how many panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and even obsessive compulsive disorders can be lessened, the volume of how often they happen, which is something as simple as salt in a crystal over your heart. And what the crystal over your heart does is it actually gets into sync with the rhythm of your heart, and it sends more heart-based chakra energy to your entire energy body. It's like trickle charging your energy body with heart energy. And then the salt in the back of the neck is countering the effect of any of the frustration or anxiety because heart energy is coming out. many times we discover that as soon as heart energy comes out, it triggers panic attacks and anxiety attacks because there's a fear of dealing with love energy.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay?
It's all them emotions.
Mm-hmm. All those emotions. And you got to understand things. When emotions pop up during your meditation, it's actually a very big sign of what's going on in your inner body. At times, these things pop up simply because they are projections from past parts of yourself that haven't been downloaded into cellular memory. And those are the things that you have to consciously and out loud say, it's time to return these emotions to cellular memory so they can no longer project 24/7 on me. And panic and anxiety attacks is exactly because of there's former parts of yourself that exist in the linear timeline that are constantly projecting their stand-in-time message of panic, of anxiety, of stress, of frustration. And you literally have to take the power away and return those parts of yourself to cellular memory. That's being a shaman on the most basic level when you understand that. Example, you focus in your mind and try to remember what it was like getting your driver's license.
All right.
All right? Right away, you realize how freeing it was, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's something that's positively projecting onto you. Do you remember when you broke up with your first girlfriend?
Yeah.
All right, well, that's a negative projection, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is something that you can out loud say, I am now removing the power of projection from this memory of breaking up with my girlfriend and returning it to cellular memory. And that's one thing that you've taken away that's limiting your future energy of the present self of you who has to deal with all of the projections of his former self. And that is one of the key understandings to why you're going through panic and anxiety attacks, is because so many little pieces, parts of you, are projecting nonstop.
Yeah.
Now, this is something that should be taught in basic grade school. You know,
Yeah.
At one point we were a telepathic species and it was taken away from us. But instinctively on a soul level, we're still telepathic, and that's why we empower parts of ourselves like this. Because quite literally, we're waiting for a telepathic response, and that's why those memories are empowered like that.
Wow.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
And do you have any more questions?
Yes. You said that I was here to heal spirit wounds, and by healing them, I need to experience them, and I've experienced them in past lives. So maybe my question to you is, you know, I'm trying to learn about my past lives. You know, like what would be important for me to know about my past lives?
Well, there's all sorts of past life stuff here. And for you dealing with spirit wounds, it's when you know a wound, you understand how it works for yourself. And in one sense, the panic attacks that you're going through is so you may know the wounds of panic and anxiety. So when you're dealing with it in others, you still instinctively know it. When somebody's trying to bull hockey or bullshit you, you know exactly what they're doing. Especially with OCD people. Because OCD relates to panic, relates to anxiety, and that's why they become that way. So, past lives, there's many past lives where you endured OCD, panic attacks, where you did all sorts of, good things and bad things, but understanding those past lives isn't about what you're going through now. It's about understanding that you're opening up like a brand new experience, and the brand new experience needs a solid foundation where that foundation doesn't have the voices of others, including past lives. So, you're not going to build a concrete foundation with sand and water. You're at this point where the next 3, 4, 5 weeks is about you empowering yourself, and then you're ready to experience the past life stuff. I mean, yes, you have past lives where you lived in World War I, but you didn't serve in the war. You were actually a statewards bound and doing paperwork. And before that, you were in the Civil War, and you were not in the physical war. You were functioning in the government, sending out supplies. And before that, you were in the War of 1812. And you, again, weren't in the war. You were part of the mail system that was sending letters to the British troops. And before that, you lived in India, particularly Bombay. And in Bombay, your purpose there was to gather sacred wood. There's a very specific concept in the Indian Hindu culture that the wood gatherers are the ones that are used for funerals. And they are the lowest sect in the caste system that's over there. But the caste system cannot function without the person that gathers the wood for the dead. So in a sense, the system falls apart if the lowest part of the caste system isn't a part of it. So this is the theme of your soul over and over and over again. You are a support structure for the culture. Okay?
It's really interesting.
Okay?
Cool.
I mean, have you been in war? There are other lifetimes where you were part of Germanic tribes fighting in Rome, fighting against Rome. You were slaved many times, but at the same time, you were in the Egyptian Hittite wars. You were in the different wars throughout the world, but you weren't there for a war lifetime. You were just there to have the experience so that you put that mark in your spiritual belt to say that I've done it and I don't want to do it again.
Yeah, I really hate war, really. I don't like it at all, so.
No, I don't either, but unfortunately this culture that we have, this amalgamation of media culture, is very warlike.
Yeah, I agree. And that's just one thing that I just really don't like about, our world.
Mm-hmm.
People don't need to kill each other over resources or whatever.
Right.
Just, stupid to me, really.
You shouldn't be taxed to be alive.
Yeah, exactly.
So are you ready to change it?
Yeah, sure.
You do it one step at a time. You heal yourself just enough so you understand that you can heal others. That's the most basic understanding anyone can go away with from the shows that I do. By healing yourself, you understand that you can heal others that have similar concepts as you. And that is one of the keys for you right now, is healing, is starting this process. And once you get 10, 20, 30 steps into the 10,000 step journey, you're going to become an old hat at it. Because there's an instinct in you that just tells you when you're ready to do this, or this. And I know why you asked about past lives. It's because there are things that have been influencing you from outside sources, and you're not letting your inside sources be yourself for long enough to understand what's outside and what's inside.
Yes. It's a lot of information. Good though.
Okay. This your first time ever having a psychic reading?
I had one over the internet. It was to do more with spirits and beings, but it was iffy. Yeah, it wasn't as detailed as you are, really. So this is, I would say, my first real, authentic psychic reading.
Well, thank you. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been on Revolution Radio and Wolf Spirit Radio for going on second week in February, so 3 months almost, going on 3.5 months. But I've been doing this privately and professionally for 20 years. And I've run into so many types of people that I try to restrict myself from stereotyping. And what I come down to doing is I look at the types of soul groups that are people and the types of soul contracts, and there's common themes among people, because each migration of your souls, each year has a migratory system. You've got the beginning of the year, you've got the middle of the year, you've got the end of the year. So each year has its primary migration at the beginning of the year, and then the second migration is the one that modifies its soul contracts to be quite different than the first part. And then the third migration that comes in learns from the first two, because the culture is so much changing every time a new person comes in and a new person reclaims their free will.
Wow. Yeah. I like the cycle there. That's a cool way to put it.
I think you're at this point where you need to be around people that are like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in Kent, Ohio, and I know there's dozens of drum groups around there, as well as people that have their own sweat lodges. And it's just a matter of you looking for that, and the universe will manifest it right in front of you in a perfect synchronicity. when you ask for it.
Yeah, I'll try it.
I mean, it's more than just try. You have to put power behind the words when you ask. When I say power, that's the conviction to get the energy out and to not be nervous about it. To just say, I want to have additional experiences where I share my concepts with others. Universe, hear my call. I am ready to experience the next level. And then get on the internet and look. Go out and, I mean, Kent, Ohio has got all sorts of organizations for spirituality. It's pretty huge, actually.
Yeah, it is. University town.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a lot of people and a lot of different backgrounds and all that, and so it's kind of like a melting pot. So that's good.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to ask you. You said, I'm heart-centric, and I used to be root-centric. This deals with the Kundalini. Am I going up, or is it just like a random, like, my next life I might be, solar plexus centric? No.
Your next lifetime is going to be totally different than this lifetime. You're heart-centered this lifetime for very specific reasons. Is you have an extra petal in your heart chakra. The heart chakra generally has 9 or 12 petals. 9 is very common. 12 petals is extremely rare. But you have 13 petals in your heart chakra, which puts you in the 2 percentile bracket of the entire world of 7,300,000,000 people. But it only works when you empower your sacred space with your heart energy and let go of everything and disconnect from the world 1 or 2 hours a day, where you don't need to function with the matrix. You can be inside yourself and still be happy. And that extra heart petal is extremely important on the type of healer you're going to be.
Yeah, I definitely want to pursue that. I feel like a calling to it. So, and I want to really, try to help people. And
well, you got to help yourself first.
Yeah.
And helping yourself is allowing yourself to experience what it's like to be inside yourself, quite literally.
Yeah, I'm meditating every night and trying to, just go within, be very introvert and trying to solve my problems and,
Well, the thing is, you can't solve your problems by meditating, actually. You do nothing other than put them on the snooze bar. The purpose of meditation is actually to achieve silence. And then when you achieve silence, you have a massive upload and download process that starts. And this upload and download process can have voices in it, can have images of old memories, and the whole point of it is to actively say nothing to it. That means your brain is silent, and whatever's going through this upload and download is the clearing out of the unfragmented hard drive. As I said before, it's like you've got a 500 gig hard drive that's, never been defragged. And that staying in silence is allowing the defrag process to go. And that's meditation. And once you've defragged the hard drive and you're able to stay in the silence for 20, 30, or 40 minutes, that's where communication with spirits begins.
Yeah, I can stay about 10 to 15 minutes, but my attention goes off, and I start thinking about stuff. But
exactly.
That's why I do the breathing meditations. It's a really strong meditation to do to silence your mind.
It's time for you to start incorporating crystals into your meditation on a much more serious level.
Yes,
you could put one on your tailbone. That is incredibly grounding. Incredibly grounding. That's what you need in your meditation. You need the lower chakra energy to be grounded, because what's going on, I'm really sensing this from you. When you're going into your meditation, your Kundalini energy, instead of spiraling as it normally does to have an awakening experience, it's going into a straight angle where it goes up and then slightly at a 90-degree angle around your kidneys, and then goes into your sacral, instead of going in a spiraling pattern all the way up like a spiral DNA. And what's going on is it needs to go into its returned format. And why it's doing that is because your energy body, the best way to describe it, it's got detour signs all over it, set up by the anxiety and panic attacks you've had over the years. And it's tying, like Ohio is, with the state plant is the Orangicus barrelicus. Every summer the barrels come and every winter the barrels go.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you got. You got these orange barrels up, and you're the only one that can take them down. I mean, how many times have you been on the road and all you want to do is drift over and just hit an orange barrel, watch it go flying?
Yeah. A few times.
Okay. I mean, everybody goes through that, especially when you're frustrated. And this is what you got to do. You got to knock those orange barrels out. And you do that by starting with the salt on the back of your neck. Put the amethyst on your heart. And then the next thing you're going to do is, before you try to meditate, take an extremely long hot shower, or sit in water, or go swimming. You need to change your elemental nature. And the elemental nature of you, as I said in the very beginning, is very, very keen for you because you're an elemental person this lifetime.
Wow. Did you mention the element, or is it just all the elements, or?
You're all the elements this lifetime, but you have to start with one.
Start with one.
Start with one.
What do you feel?
Water.
Water?
Water.
All right.
Water is the greatest tool at eroding frustration and anxiety.
Okay. What would I...
Swim.
Next
go out and go swimming.
What would be the progression, the other elements?
It'll be 3 to 4 or 5 weeks before you're ready to function with the other elements, which you'll start with water, and then you'll move to fire, which will create steam, which is the actual locomotion process that spirituality requires. It requires a balance of water and steam, water and fire. The next is the earth element, where you're out in nature and getting your feet on bare ground. And then you need to have wind and metal. Wind comes from the thunderstorms that's coming over us right now. And then metal is literally how you solidify all the elements into your elemental nature so that you're at a balanced energy. But at times, panic and anxiety makes metal turn red hot. And anytime you add water to it, the metal warps. And that's what causes extreme panic attacks in some people.
That's very interesting.
Okay, any more questions?
Let's see. I don't think so. I might have had one, but I think I forgot it.
I think you just need to process this.
Yeah. I already listened to the yesterday's reading, actually, and I made a whole bunch of notes about it. That's why I had questions about stuff. So,
all right then.
I'm going to do.
Why don't you call in another week or so, or you can get a hold of me privately at andrewbartzis.com.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your guidance.
You're welcome, Guy, and I look forward to hearing from you again.
All right. Look forward to talking to you again.
All righty. Take it easy.
Thank you. Bye.
And we're going to remind people here, now, today, not yesterday, and not in the future, you have opportunities to make choice. We're not talking about material choice, esoteric choice, or any other practice of choice other than the individuated self coming to what is my life obstacle, what is my life challenge, and how do you overcome that? So many people don't know their life purpose. So one of my suggestions to you is to live each day the mystical life as part of your purpose, so that you can position yourself in your greatest advancement. Learning how to position yourself is a form of spiritual strategy. So many people see the hierarchical order and they want to be out of it, and they won't create a spiritual strategy, for there is some form of shame, blame, or guilt with them, that they would use spirit in such a way, when in fact, spirit is waiting for us to engage our genius so we can create unlimited opportunities for us to have the promise of the self followed through in such a way that living the mystical life daily means something deep to you. In some of the previous videos, we talked about living the mystical life daily as a life path. We used the advanced heart meditation, where we helped you put programs into your blood that allowed mystical experience, connection to your guides and guardians. And then we went deeper into the actual marrow that produces your blood every 56 days and brought in more deep inside your core. We talked about the shaman's death, letting go of the old, so ultimately the next set of choices can come into being and you can create a new future for yourself without hope turning toxic. What are the challenges that everyone faces out there? The first one is manifesting your will. The whole process of spirit, choice point making, soul family, twin flames, all that stuff is to manifest your will so you can touch it, feel it, and know that it's future now, real, heart-based with your interaction in it. The manifesting of will is one of those teachings that's been around since the dawn of spiritual progression. That manifestation of will that says, I will do this, and you follow through with your sacred discipline, your sacred heart space, and your ability to have that creation in your own process. So many people have programs of self-defeat that stop them from manifesting their will, such as shame, blame, guilt, and other processes that take even more of the greater aspect away from yourself. The whole process of manifesting your will is to see the programs of self-defeat and to say to them, no, you have no space for me. You have no action for me. I deny you self-defeat in any way, shape, or form from being in this moment of sacred will that I've chosen. Process that. Contemplate that. When you see your next set of challenges facing your own spiritual choices, what programs within you are of self-defeat, self-limitation, and say to your will, I will outcreate these, and I will uncreate those that take away. The next thing is the alchemy of creation. What does it actually take to go beyond the will, to use the strategy, to create alchemy of transmutation and transcendence for the self? That is the other spiritual practice that has been around since the dawn of spiritual exploration. Manifestation. Actual, tangible processes that say, what is my will is now my way of life, and what is my way of life is my form of creation. Process that again. The alchemy of creation is the will of manifestation, so that the manifestation is your creation. There's a variety of ways to put that pattern together of manifesting your will, to stop self-defeating programs, or to outcreate those programs with the will of the self. Alchemy comes in the form of fire. Alchemy comes in the form of meditation. Alchemy comes in the form of walking in the park to transmute energy, to transform an old way of being. The transformation process are those that have gotten to the tactics, to the strategy of application of the self. The transmutation is the next level, where you can use your will of alchemy creation. And you can go into that transformative moment and use techniques like you learned in the advanced heart meditation, the fetus in your womb, or the fetus in your mother's womb if you want to go for extra credit. In the process of learning in the fetus of the womb, it starts you as just a handful of cells. Before you had arms, legs, before you had even a mind, you were just a heart. And that very heart that is in creation is the same heart that's here today. It has just grown and grown and grown and grown until it was a fetus. And that fetus went through its infinite to finite creation process. Its fetus alchemy of creation. It manifested its will. It came out of the womb. Its umbilical cord was cut, and it had a mother and father and spiritual contracts that made it an agenda-based being, and it was no longer a non-agenda being, for it had been born through the alchemy of creation, through the mother and the father and an insemination process. And that fetus to infant grew into the being that you are today. And that is something each and every one in this person in this world and many other worlds share. The birthing process of being the fetus in the womb. And we will learn as history comes to accept the greater outside world beyond this planet, that there are millions of schools of thought and religions around being the fetus in your womb, the fetus in your heart, or the fetus in your mother's womb, or the fetus in a future womb. The fetus in the womb features the ability to understand the 7 previous generations of who you were, and then those 7 future generations. Why 7? It is the lineage of man that is in residual race memory. About every 220 to 270 years, the residual race memory that's in the lineage is forgotten. For there is no oral teachers or historians that can reach beyond the 7 generations. You go to Australia and you look at some of the song lines that are there, they go back 50,000 years. That's thousands of generations. The indigenous cultures throughout the world had a variety of ways to pass the 7 generation mark. Those oral teachers and historians did rituals, ceremonies, and told stories that were a direct representation of what their ancestors experienced, so it would be passed on to the future generation, so they too could go to that longer process. What was in my ancient past? For they did not have race amnesia as we do today. In the fetus in the mother's womb, we also learn that we will one day pass this life on and be the next fetus in another womb and possibly in another world. We also learn that we are simultaneously living past, present, and future while we are the fetus in the womb. Taking the next level of your alchemy of creation and the manifesting of your will and the letting go of your self-defeating programs, you can experience past, present, future, if you should choose to make those moments sacred with the higher form of your sacred discipline.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.